in interesting times. Today's stories. Families are angry over a cluster of deaths at a Montreal nursing home. Moroccan army stands ready for an influx of coronavirus patients. Trump celebrates U.S. truckers and hints at a very important announcement on reopening country. Macron discusses coronavirus with G7 members by video conference. Pompeo says arrests of Hong Kong activists is deeply concerning. Foreign workers undergo coronavirus testing in Dubai. In the U.S., dozens protest against stay-at-home rules in Ohio. Time to reopen Texas, protesters gather against stay-at-home orders. I'm Archie Rose Natividad Yi with Eagle News, broadcasting from our Vancouver, Canada studio, bringing you stories from around the globe. Families share their anger after 31 people died of the coronavirus in a Canadian senior's home. The care home, called the Heron and located in the Montreal suburb of Dorval, has 150 residents.
On me sent un peu laissé tomber, pas en mesure de communiquer et d'être au courant de réellement quelle est la situation, son état de santé, quoi que ce soit. C'est ça qui est le plus difficile dans tout ça.
All of a sudden, these questions started flying through my head. What could we have done different? Why did nobody tell us? If they had said that they were short-staffed, why couldn't they have put the phone by his head? Why could we never do the Zoom or Skype phone thing so that we could my sister and I could each see him before he passed? Why? There's lots of whys. Now we are the focus of an international spotlight showing that the Heron is the poster child for what is wrong with senior healthcare. It's not that the Heron is unique in this. That's the thing. There are other homes, I am sure, in every country in the world where families experience similar situations. And it scares me. It terrifies me to think that I am 60 years of age and I may someday end up in one of these homes.
According to medical staff, the Moroccan army is mobilizing all its medical resources to help public hospitals manage the coronavirus pandemic and deal with a possible influx of COVID-19 patients.
Et depuis le début de la pandémie, l'hôpital militaire en particulier a bien sûr adopté une stratégie pour la prise en charge des patients Covid-19. Sur le plan national et pour aider nos compatriotes civils et sur haute instruction de Sa Majesté le Roi, que Dieu l'assiste, il y a plusieurs médecins qui ont été bien sûr adressés et affectés dans 45 provinces, délégations.
Nearly 6 out of every 10 people around the world are currently forced or urged to stay at home to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, according to an AFP count on Friday. The AFP database shows that this concerns at least 4.5 billion people, or around 58% of the world population, which is estimated by the United Nations at 7.79 billion in 2020. Confinement measures started to make themselves felt in mid-March as the number of cases of the novel coronavirus soared and the pandemic spread relentlessly around the world. By March 18, a total of 500 million people had been confined. That rose to 1 billion on March 23, 2 billion on March 24, 3 billion a day later, and 4 billion on April 7. On Friday, the figures topped 4.5 billion, spanning 110 countries and territories. Most of them, at least 2.93 billion people in 66 countries and territories, have no choice and are obliged to stay at home.
En plus des hôpitaux militaires, l'hôpital militaire Mohamed V de Rabat, l'hôpital militaire de Marrakech, l'hôpital militaire de Meknès, d'Agadir, de Guelmim, de l'Ayoun et de Dakhla, il y a 2 hôpitaux de campagne qui ont été installés et dont la capacité litière est de 200 lits, avec un nombre important de lits de réanimation.
Au premier étage, on a l'hospitalisation des formes légères avec une capacité litière de 140 lits. Et en bas, au rez-de-chaussée, on a une réanimation avec 20 lits, avec tous les équipements nécessaires pour prendre en charge les patients atteints des formes graves de ce fléau.
U.S. President Donald Trump celebrates America's truckers, whom he describes as the lifeblood of our economy, and hints at a very important press conference later on Thursday as his administration works on guidelines for reopening the economy amid the coronavirus pandemic.
My administration is devoting every ounce of our energy and every fiber in our bodies to give a tremendous really create a border, create something very powerful against this virus, this horrible virus, to heal the sick, restore the full force of the U.S. economy, and do all of the things that we're doing. And by the way, for the media, we have a very important press conference today at 6 o'clock. We're going to be talking about guidelines that have been very carefully done.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Thursday that his country's border with the United States would not fully reopen for at least several weeks, rejecting U.S. President Donald Trump's overtures to do so sooner. The border, the world's longest international frontier at 8,900 kilometers, was shut to all non-essential travelers on both sides on March 21 in response to the coronavirus crisis. Cross-border trade has continued. Trudeau's deputy and point person on U.S. relations, Chrystia Freeland, added that Ottawa will only ease border restrictions when it is not a risk to the health and safety of Canadians. Canada's population is about 9 times smaller than that of the United States. So far, the U.S. has recorded more than 30,000 coronavirus deaths, while Canada's death toll is roughly 1,200. But the 2 Canadian provinces most affected, Quebec and Ontario, border New York State, the epicenter of the U.S. outbreak. Some Canadian $2.4 billion worth of goods and more than 400,000 people cross the border each day on average prior to the pandemic. Trump had said on Wednesday that the border with Canada would be one of the early borders to be released. Trump said the U.S. would be keeping very strong borders with nations that had high infection rates. French President Emmanuel Macron takes part in a meeting of G7 leaders by video conference to discuss international coordination of the coronavirus response. President Donald Trump and other G7 leaders will discuss international coordination of the coronavirus response by video conference on Thursday, the White House said. The remote meeting convened by Trump follows up on another virtual summit held last month and comes as the leading world economies remain under lockdown due to the pandemic. Trump convened the meeting for Thursday morning to coordinate national responses to the coronavirus pandemic, White House spokesman Jude Deere said. The G7 is made up of Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United States, which this year holds the group's presidency. The White House has said that the traditional annual summit, due to have been staged near Washington in June, will instead also take place by video link. On Tuesday, Trump spoke by phone with French President Emmanuel Macron on efforts to defeat the coronavirus pandemic and reopen world economies, the White House said. The 2 leaders also discussed the upcoming teleconference with G7 leaders, as well as critical regional and bilateral issues. Still to come, Pompeo says arrests of Hong Kong activists is deeply concerning. Foreign workers undergo coronavirus testing in Dubai. In the U.S., dozens protest against stay-at-home rules in Ohio. Time to reopen Texas, protesters gather against stay-at-home orders. This is Eagle News. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Archie Rose Natividad Yi. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, in a tweet, criticizes the arrests of several high-profile democracy campaigners in Hong Kong, saying they are deeply concerning. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Saturday criticized the arrests of several high-profile democracy campaigners in Hong Kong, saying they were deeply concerning. Earlier in the day, police in the Asian financial hub rounded up 15 activists on charges related to massive demonstrations that rocked the city last year. Arrests of pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong are deeply concerning. Politicized law enforcement is inconsistent with universal values of freedom of expression, association, and peaceful assembly, Pompeo said in a tweet. The Dubai government has set up a number of testing centers to detect people infected with the coronavirus around the city, especially in densely populated areas such as housing for foreign laborers. The UAE has announced more than 6,300 infections and 37 deaths due to COVID-19.
In collaboration with the Dubai Health Authority and Dubai Police, these tents have been built up in the worker accommodation areas, the labor accommodation areas of Dubai. We are responsible for doing the corona test for the nasal swab for the workers who are staying and who have been a contact, or they have been staying around an area where the corona positive tests were found. We have started doing it for the last 1 week. Each day we do around 200 tests, and this nasal swab is being collected and sent to the central pathology lab in Latifa Hospital. We see almost 4,000 patients. Out of this 4,000 patients, hardly maybe 1 or 2 are turning positive every day. So the possibility of corona positive is very less, very well controlled. Only the contacts are huge because these laborers stay together.
Dubai opened a 3,000-bed capacity field hospital on Saturday in its World Trade Center to prepare for a potential surge in novel coronavirus cases. The towering event and exhibition center is located in the heart of the city, one of the 7 members of the United Arab Emirates. The hospital will reinforce Dubai's healthcare system and take advantage of all resources and infrastructure to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, said a statement from the Emirates Media Office. The hospital has a capacity that can be expanded quickly to over 3,000 beds, the statement added. The UAE has imposed strict social distancing measures and a nighttime curfew to combat the spread of the virus. More than 6,000 COVID-19 infections have been recorded in the UAE, including 37 patients who have died. Dozens of people demonstrate outside the Ohio State House in Columbus against coronavirus-related stay-at-home rules as protesters in several cities across the United States hold rallies against lockdown orders with the explicit encouragement of President Donald Trump. Hundreds of people demonstrated Saturday in cities across America against coronavirus-related stay-at-home rules, with the explicit encouragement of President Donald Trump, as resentment against prolonged confinement grew. An estimated 400 people gathered under a cold rain in Concord, New Hampshire, many on foot while others remained in their cars, to send a message that extended quarantines were not necessary in a state with relatively few confirmed cases of COVID-19, an AFP photographer reported. A similar rally outside Maryland's colonial-era State House in Annapolis drew around 200 protesters, and more than 250 people showed up in the Texas capital of Austin as such protests continued to spread. They drew encouragement in certain Democratic-led states from tweets by Trump, who has said he favors a quick return to normal practices, though protests have also taken place in Republican-led states like New Hampshire. In Concord, demonstrators carried signs with slogans like, "The numbers lie," or "Reopen New Hampshire." Their common demand was that the stay-at-home order for the state of 1.3 million people will be called off before its scheduled May 4th end date. Protesters gather outside the Texas state capitol in Austin to voice opposition to stay-at-home orders and other measures aiming to slow the coronavirus pandemic.
The damage from continuing to cripple an economy for something that statistically is not adding up is more detrimental than I think probably just dealing with the virus as best we can. Justified. We have constitutional rights in the United States that are based on the idea that we all have human dignity. People have a right to work, people have a right to eat, people have a right to freely assemble, and these rights cannot be taken away based on faulty science.
We're done with these nothing burger announcements. It's time to reopen Texas. It's time to let people work. It's time for them to let voluntary interaction and good sense rule the day, not government force. Absolutely. This is the #1 health crisis. And you know what? Our leaders need to hear us right now more than ever. Because in addition to the health crisis, this is an economic crisis, and this is also a civil liberties crisis.
That is this week's Eagle News. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I am Archie Rose Natividad Yi. We live in interesting times.